Hello Exiles. PoE 2 Early Access is getting close to the 2-week mark, and lots of new players are finishing the campaign, reaching the end game, and finding out that having negative resistances with 1k life can be a bit of a gray screen simulator. In this video, I want to help you fix your resistances, life, damage, and all other build shenanigans you may have going on by showing you a very simple overview of the Path of Exile trade website, so you can spend your hard-earned currencies there instead of inting them away on the next piece of trash you pick up off the ground. In Path of Exile, it's very important to always check your resistances and other defensive layers like evasion, energy shield, or armor, just to name a few. Every build is a little different, but everyone needs to cap their resistances out at 75%. So let's focus on that, and I will mention where you can look for other defensive layers along the way. First things first, check your character statistics by pressing C in the game. If you just finished the campaign, you may be thinking having your resistances simply above 0% is enough, but that's just not the case. You really want them to be as close to the cap of 75% as you can get them with whatever your current budget is. If you're broke, aim for at least 50% for your first set of gear. You should be able to spend 1 to 2 exalted orbs per piece of gear and fix your build for at least a little while until you inevitably hit another wall and will have to find some more upgrades again. So let's do that. First step, I would recommend just taking off any pieces of trash you're currently wearing to make the math on your resistances a little bit easier as we progress. This might mean taking off all your gear. Don't worry, that is okay. Then grab all your juicy exalted orbs you've been picking up and get ready to say goodbye to them for now, because once your build is fixed, you'll be blasting maps and getting rich. We will want to buy items in this order. First, build defining uniques that our build is unplayable without, if any. If you're following a build guide, these kind of items should be listed. Second, any items with build defining modifiers. Again, if you're following a build guide, these kind of items should be listed. An example though would be if you need a certain amount of spirit to run your build's auras, then you'll want to look for a body armor or an amulet first. Thirdly, a strong weapon. Fourth, movement speed boots with as much resistances as we can afford. After this, just fill out the rest of your gear set with as much life and resistances as you can afford, fitting in any potential offensive modifiers where we can. But for your first set of gear, I would really focus on defenses, as once you start to add offensive modifiers on top of defensive modifiers, the gear can jump in price. So let's get started and open up the Path of Exile trade website. Feel free to use the link provided in the description to follow along, as it may be helpful if you've never used this tool before. To get started, press the Show Filters drop down so we can find the gear we're looking for. If you are on a budget, which most people are their first time reaching the end game, I would recommend setting the max buyout price to something like 2 or 3 exalted orbs, probably 2. Now the first thing we will search for is any build defining uniques. These are the easiest to find, as all you will have to do is type the name of the item into the search bar at the top, then press search. For an example, I will search for the Plague Finger Gauze Wraps. Okay. Now with our search filtered, what we can do is click on any of these modifiers, and that will order all the results from top to bottom. So if we click attack speed, see that for the price of a maximum of 2 exalted orbs, the most attack speed we can get is 6% increased attack speed. Now for example, we could click this one. For 2 exalted orbs, the most we could get, and these are actually only 1, but the most chance to poison on hit we could get is 9%. Now we could filter both of these, what we would have to do is come up here to add stat filter. Click on this and type in attack speed. Now there's two here, kind of weird. One of these works, one of these doesn't. So you might have to try both, but we'll click on one of them, % increased attack speed. And we'll search. No results found. So this is the wrong one. This is good for our example. So we'll just choose the other one, and this one will work. Okay, now we want the one with the most increased attack speed. So that's 6%. So we need to add 6% as our minimum here in our filter. Search again. All right, now we will only see the results that have a minimum of 6% increased attack speed and a maximum price of 2 exalted orbs. Now what we can do from here is we can click on the chance to poison on hit and filter that top to bottom. Okay, now we get our results with 6% increased attack speed only, and starting with the most chance to poison on hit going down. Okay, we'll see more examples of this in a second. Let's go ahead and search for something else. Let's search for something a little bit more difficult to find that might have more options. So not a unique. Let's search for a rare item. What we'll do is here, I'm going to clear all the filters here. It's about using this clear button. Now item category. Let's search for a body armor. Type that in. Okay. A build defining modifier that we may need to look for would be spirit. So we'll type that into our stat filters here on the right side, numbered to spirit. Since I reset the filters, I need to make sure that I add the exalted orb maximum back down here. Now, let's say you're playing an evasion character, a dex character. You want to make sure that you get a body armor that is evasion based. So here in the equipment filters, we can type a number into the evasion here. Minimum, let's say 350. That should filter out all the other base types other than the pure dexterity evasion bases. Something else we can add to our stat filter here would be just general good modifiers like life and maybe some resistances as well. Now something else that we should add here, because we're looking for resistances, you want to add a stat group because we need all resistances, not necessarily only fire, right? So we'll add a stat group that is a weighted sum. And from here, you can add all 3 different types of resistance. Okay. Actually, we can go ahead. We'll leave the fire resistance here, but we don't need that up there if we have our weighted sum here. Now we'll click search. We'll see a bunch of different items pop up here. These are all evasion base types, all for the price of 1 or 2 exalted orbs. They all have spirit, life, and they'll have some resistances on them. Now, what you want to do when the search comes up here is you want to click the sum. This is for the weighted sum section we added here. So you'll click sum, and this will order things with the most resistance going down to the things with the least resistance. Okay, so we'll see this one here has quite a bit of resistance. But they've already added their runes, so this wouldn't be a good one to buy because we want to be able to put our own runes into the piece of gear. So this next one here, 2 exalted orbs. We could change our buyout price down to 1 just to see what pops up. And now we can see, we'll click sum again. Now we can see all these options for 1 exalted orb They have spirit, they have a bunch of res, they have life. These are all great options. Just make sure that it's giving you enough spirit for what you need. If you need to put a minimum into spirit, you can. But this is a good way to search here. Now, say we were really low on cold resistance, but we were doing okay on fire and lightning resistance. What we can do is add weights in here to our weighted sum values. So we'll put a 2 in for the cold because we need more cold than the other two. And we'll put 1s in for both of those. We'll click search again, and we will click the sum button. And now we'll see it's going to prioritize cold over the other two. And it's going to give us pretty much the same options here, but you can see it's prioritizing cold over the other ones. There's not a ton of options, so it's trying its best. When you're searching for items that are only one exalted orb, you get what you get. But these are better than whatever you finish the campaign with. Now let's quickly also look for a pair of shoes. For shoes here, we type it into our item category, which actually they're called boots in Path of Exile. We will leave our evasion rating because we still want dexterity evasion boots. Now, if you wanted, say, strength armor, you would just put it over here in the armor section. If you wanted intelligence energy shield, you put it here. If you were looking for a mixed base item, say you're a monk and you want evasion and energy shield, you just need to type in a number for both of these. Now with boots, we'll still look for life, but the big thing we want on our shoes is movement speed. It's very important that your shoes have movement speed. So we have movement speed, life, and our weighted sum for our resistances. We'll click search. We also still have our buyout price set to 1 exalted orb. You see there's still going to be quite a few options here. Even just for 1 exalted orb, you can really fix your build. Now with movement speed, everyone has their own opinion on how much movement speed is enough. Now when you're buying a budget item, I would recommend try to get at least 15% movement speed. So we can put 15% in right here for the minimum and click search. Always make sure you click sum to order the resistances in order. We still have our weight set to 2 on the cold resistance. But keep in mind you'll change this based on what resistances you need. And now we're seeing for 1 exalted orb, all the pairs of boots we can buy that have 15% increased movement speed. They have a life roll on them, and they have resistances as well. There's quite a few. So it'll be very easy to fix your build on a decent budget as long as you have, roughly 9 exalted orbs probably. Last thing, let's go ahead and search for a weapon as well. A weapon, let's do a two-handed mace. Now, two-handed maces, they don't have any resistance. They don't have any evasion. One thing you might want to do is just click clear in between your searches, but make sure to always re-add the buyout price down here. What we're looking for on a two-handed mace would be things like plus to level of melee skills, % increase physical damage, adds number to number physical damage. Yes, we'll search this. Okay, now that we still have our buyout price set to a maximum of 1 exalted orbs, and we'll get all these results. Now, what we probably should do, we want more than just 1 level of melee skills. Let's be a little greedy first and type in 5. We'll see there's quite a few results here. Now, Something that's important with a two-handed mace, it's different for all weapons, obviously, and hopefully if you're following a build guide, the guide will tell you what kind of things you're looking for on your weapon. A mace, you want to have the most physical damage possible. So we have a minimum typed in for our melee skills, and then we'll press the physical damage number to filter them top to bottom for most to least physical damage. And some of these will have runes put in them for plus 40% physical damage, so you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at these numbers, right? So this one is higher than this one, and it doesn't even have runes in it yet. So this one will skyrocket once we put runes in there. But yeah, this is, and these are all just for one exalted orb. So again, on a budget, you should be able to get your build running instead of just flopping in all of your maps pretty easily. You just have to spend some time here on the trade website and search for the things you need. And then, yeah, after you buy a weapon, after you find a weapon that you need with the stats you want, you would go and just really, you would put life, and then you would do the weighted sum for all the resistances, and you would likely just do this search on like everything else that you don't have yet. You know, rings, always click sum. You would do your rings, your amulet, everything, your gloves, helmet, belt, everything else that you can find. One thing to keep in mind about the belt is the belt really is only good for life and resistances. So, you know, get a nice belt and you can wear it for a while because it's just going to be a resistance dump for what you need. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Okay, now what I want to show you is, say you found the item you want to buy. How do you actually buy an item from this website? Now I don't need to buy any gear, so what I'm going to buy is a waystone, because you can never have enough of these guys. So I will buy a waystone real quick here. Bunch of people selling waystones. Let's say I want to buy this one. What I do is you click direct whisper, and it will whisper the person in game. Now I whispered him. This player has invited me to their party. I accept. Now you click on the little portal icon by their name, and it will send you to their hideout. Wait, little minion boy here. He's asking me if I want more. Just want the one. Accept. Okay, you have to make sure you hover over it. Accept. Perfect. Trade accepted. Now I go back to my hideout. The general etiquette is that if you are the buyer, you will go to their hideout and they will trade you once they have the item in their inventory. But yeah, it's really that simple. After you buy the item, you can whisper them thank you, they'll whisper you thank you, or you can be antisocial and just leave and go back to your place. But anyways, that's how it works. Hopefully this video has helped you guys fix up your character statistics so you can start blasting some maps, completing your Atlas quests, and enjoying the end game of Path of Exile 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, it would mean a lot to me if you hit the thumbs up and like the video. If you have any ideas for future content you would like to see concerning Path of Exile 2, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to not miss out on my next video. Peace.